Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's session. My name's Tita. I'm an Australian Government representative from the Department of Environment. Today's talk is community-based sharing benefits from the Ekuri Community Forest in Nigeria, and our speaker is Chief Edwin Ogar from the Ekuri Initiative in Nigeria. Please welcoming Chief Edwin to the stage.
Hello, good evening, please. Yeah, today I'll be talking on communities-based benefit sharing from Ekuri Community Forest in Nigeria. But first, we need to know the background where Ekuri is. Yeah, Ekuri is in Nigeria. Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa, and is situated in West African sub-region. It has 250 languages, and the major ones are 3, and 36 states, like 36 regions. And one of the states is Cross River State, where Ekuri community is. Nigeria has 5 types of ecological zone. From the Atlantic Ocean, you have the mangrove ecosystem, fully closed in by the tropical forest. And then the savanna is at the middle. And then towards the north, you have the semi-arid zone. And then at the fringe of this Sahara Desert is the arid zone. And that's Cross River State. Cross River State has 18 local government areas, and is also blessed with 3 ecological zones, one being the mangrove, here. The southern side is the mangrove, and then followed closely by the rainforest, tropical rainforest, which expand up to, the tropical rainforest, which expand up to here, and then here you have, from here, you have the savanna. Yeah, today we are going to focus on Ekuri community. What you see there is the map of Ekuri community, the survey map of Ekuri community. Ekuri community is around here, in Cross River State. So Ekuri community consists of 2 villages, Old and New Ekuri, and they are situated in the tropical forest ecozone. It is in between, to the north, the open forest reserve, and then to the south by the Cross River National Park. And then to the east, we have the Cohesion Community Forest, and to the northeast, we have the northeast flank. We have Okokori and Etara Community Forest. Ekuri community belongs to Ngukoli tribe, and they speak locally. Ngukoli is a minute minority in Nigeria. The population, as I've already said, of Nigeria is 170 million. But the whole of Ngukoli tribe is only 15,000. So, and you know that a minute minority like that anywhere in the world does not have any influence in terms of, influencing government to do anything for them. The Ekuri people predominantly are farmers, and they are also forest gatherers, with a population of 6,000 people that lives in the 2 villages. They are the joint owners of the rich, biological diverse Ekuri Community Forest, totaling 33,600 hectares. This is the largest communally controlled forest in the whole of West African sub-region, and it's the best managed community forest. Ekuri community conceived the idea of community forestry way back in 1982. There was nobody who came and told them, do this. It came as a necessity for, because we were landlocked community. There was no access road to Ekuri as of 1982. So we had to trek a long distance to get to the nearest point, motorable point, which was 40-kilometer route every day as you go to school, and either you are coming back to the village or you are going to buy some basic needs. You still have to carry your things on your head. So the idea of community forestry was conceived by us in 1982 to enable us to raise money to address the issues that, as a minority, government can never do them for us. So, however, we started tinkering on the idea how this can be done, and eventually we started a formal community forestry in 1992 and established the Ekuri Initiative as a non-profit organization, as an institution of the community that would run the management of the Ekuri Community Forestry project. The focus of our Ekuri Initiative basically is on conservation, sustainable forest management, and then proceeds generated from this will be used for community development and poverty reduction. Is a focal point, the fourth focal point of our organization. And over the time, from when we started in 1992, the Ekuri Initiative has generated income from the forest, another internal mechanism, including grant from outside. But basically here, what I'm presenting today here is income that we generated from the forest, which has enabled us to implement some of these activities. The donor-funded activities are not included. That goes to show that as a community, if you have the resources, you can harness them sustainably and use it to do your development without necessarily waiting for government. The lesson I want to share with you here today has to do with benefit sharing, because it's one of the fundamental foundation for sustainability of project. If benefit sharing are not well planned, then the project will run into problems. There are 5 types of benefit sharing arising from Ekuri community forest. One, we use the proceeds, to build community facilities. And some of the proceeds goes into the individuals. And then neighbors also benefit from our activities, as well as government and the global community. In terms of community facilities, like I have said earlier, because we are a minority and there is no way government can come around and support us, we decided to be our own government by ourselves. So with proceeds generated, I mean income generated from the forest, we were able to construct a 40-kilometer dirt route with all culverts and bridges to both Ekuri community, benefiting everybody in Ul and Ekuri. We also started the building of a health center to address our health needs. But however, the national park came to our rescue and completed that center. And that also benefits the entire community, because with the health center, you can adequately address our health needs. We also equipped that center and furnished it. Proceeds generated from the forest has enabled us also to build a 6-classroom block and furnish it so that we are able to provide a conducive learning environment for our children. And we also done a refurbishing of a classroom building and furnishing in Ekuri. Prior to the commencement of the Ekuri Initiative, normally community meetings were held in the chief's house. But if you disagree with the chief, it's like you're not comfortable going back for such a meeting. And only a few people will turn up for such meeting. And you know, there was no inclusive governance. So that also led, you know, to backwardness. And we decided that, look, it's necessary for us to build a civic center whereby every person has that opportunity to come and contribute to the community decision-making process. And that enabled us to raise money from our forest to build a civic center, which has benefited all of us, particularly in terms of, you know, community governance and forest governance. We also maintain facilities in the community, which is beneficial to all of us. Ekuri community is blessed with abundant forest resources. As I said, it's a tropical forest, 33,600 hectares. I mean, if you quantify the value of the products that are in Ekuri, it runs into several billions of dollars. So for us to ease evacuation of, you know, farm and forest product to market, to sell at improved prices, we decided to generate money from the forest to buy a vehicle. And that has also benefited a larger segment of, you know, Ekuri people, particularly the old and the market dealers. Because we are able to conserve the forest over the time, because that forest is relatively intact. It's not, it is a forest that, right from the destruction of the world by God, that forest has been there. It's relatively intact, apart from the small area we've done our farming. The rest is intact. There's abandonment, so much of, you know, forest resources, that if you want, even at this hour, you want to raise money, you just go in and harvest some product and sell and generate money. That has also helped our people in terms of, you know, poverty reduction. And like I mentioned earlier, the inclusive community forest governance has actually helped our community. Another benefit we have received has to do with local, national, and international recognition of our activities. At the local and at the national level in Nigeria, we are a flagship community forestry that our others are looking onto direction. We are like the star. If we deem, it means every other community forestry project will definitely not work. And internationally, we also recognize we are a recipient of the Equitable Initiative way back in 2002, the second year that the Equity Initiative was established. In Ekuri, we generate reasonable money from timber, which benefit everybody. We make it as a policy that timber harvesting has to be a community organization. Individuals do not have a right to harvest a commonwealth. Because if you do that, like it is done in any other country or in any other community, is that they empower those who have the money will get advantage over those who are poor. But this is a commonwealth that belongs to both the rich and the poor. So, and because of that, we decided to go the opposite direction. What has sustained our activity and has made our activity useful is that we go the opposite direction of what others are doing. We decided that, look, others are selling their timber to loggers. We will not sell our own. Rather, we prefer to do it by ourselves. And we've done it. That, however, it is not as if you want to build a house, you cannot build. You want to build a house, fine, there's wood for you to build a house. But in terms of, you know, commercial harvesting of wood to sell, nobody has a right to do that. We do it collectively and sell it and generate money and use it for community development and poverty reduction. Another benefit we have received is that our traditions and culture are preserved. because a lot of our traditional and culture depends on the forest, depends on the forest product. So it's one of the benefits that Ekuri community has received. Our culture is still intact. And our activities are very realistic, they are practical, and very sustainable. This is, I want to show you a few of the pictures. This is one of the school blocks we built. This is a civil center that is, I took this picture when the center was not completed. And this is the dead road that we constructed, a 40-kilometer road through the tropical high forest. And that means a lot of, huge amount of labor. It took us good 7 years to do this. Good 7 years as a community to construct a 40-kilometer road through the high forest with the bridges and all the culverts. And we also have benefits that accrue to individuals. We generate funds from the forest to build the capacity of youth and women in prioritized areas. As we do need assessment, what do you want to learn, what do you want to learn, and we know their priority. And then we go ahead and harvest timber and non-timber forest products from the forest to train them so that they can be gainfully employed in the various sectors they have identified themselves. We have also improved the literacy level of our people through the award of scholarship, which benefits individuals. Over the time, we have continuously provided farm inputs, particularly improved variety of crops, seedling, and polybags for them to cultivate so that they get maximum harvest from their farms. And this is beneficial, to the farmers. We also run a successful microcredit from income generated from the forest. We used it to run a successful microcredit, started far back to 2008. This is a revolving scheme whereby a group takes such a loan and use it for a period of time and then return the money, and another group will take it and use it for a period of time. So it's a cycle. So that cycle, that microcredit scheme has enabled so many people to set up their small businesses to support their farm work, and has also helped to increase income generation and job creation amongst the people. Another benefit that accrue to individuals is in terms of health subsidy for the vulnerable. From the income, because we know it's a common resource, so the income we generate from the forest is used to support those who are vulnerable, the aged, the handicapped, the poor ones, who we know cannot fend for themselves. So income generated are used to support them in terms of payment for medical bills. And we also provide wood subsidy for those who are from Ekuri that wants to build a house. Since we've made a policy already that no individual can harvest wood to sell. So what the project does is that if you want to build a house, the organization will support you because we have some wood conversion equipment, and will support you, and you convert this wood and use it to build your house. Even if you want to build your house in a city and you are from Ekuri, definitely will do the same to you, in as much as the community is convinced that you are actually building a house. And then there is hunting. There is pressure on hunting of wildlife in the Ekuri community forest. And the forest is so large that even doing reconnaissance survey on a daily basis is quite ridiculous. So to take off pressure from hunting of wildlife, we decided to provide seed capital, particularly to the hunters, to relieve forest pressure on hunting, to relieve them from forest pressure on hunting. This enabled them, to set up animal farm so that they can have that as an income base, raise it, sell it, and generate more money. And that can relieve the hunting of wildlife in a Ekuri community, because wildlife is very useful. They help, to disperse the seed in the forest. So if a forest is gone, if the wildlife in the forest is gone, then that forest is going to stagnate. The growth of that forest is going to be reduced. It's not going to grow any longer. We also do job creation. From income we gather from the forest, we create jobs through teaching, training our children, and adding value to farm and forest products. So that also has assisted in the creation of wealth amongst the community villagers. Like I said earlier, because the forest is conserved, it benefits the people, because you can raise regular income on a daily basis from NTFP, that is a non-timber forest product from the forest. The neighboring communities also benefit from Ekuri community forest by harvesting non-timber forest products. Because we cannot stop them. If we do that, it means they will do something that is quite damaging. So we still allow them to harvest non-timber forest products from Ekuri community. And what we do not allow them to do is the harvesting of timber. So that also enables them, to support the protection of, Ekuri forest. Because it's a strategy to ensure that they too support the forest. Because if you deny them, definitely if there is any person coming from outside to do logging in that forest, they will just close their eye. And then that forest will start to get threatened. Another benefit neighboring communities are having is that because of the protection and conservation of Ekuri forest, we protect the watersheds that are there, that the waterheads. So this water run down to several communities and provide drinking water for them, particularly for those that have lost their forest. So the water that comes from Ekuri, downstream communities are benefiting. Our project has strengthened application of indigenous knowledge. Indigenous knowledge in the sense that this is what we have been doing before, and then we continue to innovate. We continue to do them, or sometimes we decide to review them and to do it proper. And then we have also benefited in terms of, modern knowledge in community forestry. So with a combination of indigenous and modern knowledge, we are able to protect and conserve that forest. One of the advantage and the benefit we've received over the time is that all this activity has led to poverty reduction in the Ekuri community. And basically, it was one of the reasons why we got the Equator Award for our successes in reducing poverty through conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity. Because of the success story of Ekuri Initiative and Ekuri Community Forestry Project, we have benefited from, improved social status of individuals from Ekuri. Within the region of Nigeria, you mention your name, you are from Ekuri, then they will thank you. At least they give you that respect, because they know you are doing a wonderful work. This is a community that is not relying on government and is doing everything on her own. So they give you that kudos. Say, well done. So we are respected. And because of, all this benefit that is accruing to the community, there is strong social cohesion in the community because every person is benefiting. There is equitable benefit sharing amongst the people. In terms of facilities, every person is benefiting. In terms of, individual benefits, every person is also benefiting. So that has enhanced strong social cohesion in the community. As you can see, those are the individual benefits that are accrued from Ekuri. This is like the primary school building, university scholarship for the girls, and this is this one here is Randia, the cattle stick. The cattle stick that comes from Ekuri is sold beyond Nigeria, even up to Niger, Mali, and Sudan. It is a cattle stick that the herders use in controlling the cattle. So it is much sought, and we have them in abundance in Ekuri. And this one here is cocoa. We support communities to diversify their income generation from food crop to cash crop. And these are planted within the degraded farmlands to regenerate the land. And this one here has to do with what you can see the size of wood we have, the gate. These are the kind of wood we have in Ekuri, very big. A tree can give you up to 2 lorry loads, sometimes 3 for one tree. And this is cane ropes. We process it and sell, individual process it and sell and generate money. These are nursery, tree nursery. Cocoa nursery. And this one, somebody is collecting medicinal plant for healing. Yeah, from the government angle, government has benefited substantially from our activity. One has to do with permit fee. For us to harvest timber and non-timber forest product, we pay fee to government. So government benefits a lot from our activity. And then we also support the Nigerian government to meet her commitment and obligation to the Convention on Biological Diversity, and also the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And then in terms of global community, we've contributed to climate change mitigation because we've done some carbon calculation some years back, about 2010, within a 3-hectare plot. And it is estimated that within an hectare plot, 800 metric tons of carbon is in Ekuri forest. So if you times that by that number of hectares, it's like what is stored in Ekuri forest is approximately 25 million metric tons of carbon. So we've been able to keep those carbon, store those carbon in the trees, benefiting the entire world, not just Ekuri. Because if we were to release those carbon, cut the forest to release that carbon, definitely the issue of global climate change will also increase. And we have also contributed to stability in terms of, as it relates to the global community, in terms of other environmental services, like water. The water that rises from Ekuri forest goes and joins another river, and they begin to expand, and then they continue like that, and then they form the ocean, where many people all over the world are benefiting. The air that is produced from trees in Ekuri forest is also benefiting people, even up to here in Canada, because the environment knows no border. And our activities too has helped to support the global community in terms of stabilization of the soil and erosion control, and in terms of biodiversity conservation. There is so huge of biodiversity in Ekuri forest. Most of them, science is yet to recover, to know about them. Okay. How benefit sharing for individuals are implemented in Ekuri community? In Ekuri community, we have the maternal lineage As I am standing here, I belong to my mother family, not to my father's family. My father belongs to his mother's family. So that's how we are. Because in Ekuri, there is that understanding that, a mother conceives a child for 9 years and, nurse that child until he grows up. So really, she is the owner of the child, not the father. And that's why we belong to the mother's side. So there are 11 Etwo. Etwo is maternal lineage. There are 11. And then if there is any project that would benefit the community, we'll ask these 11 Etwo, the maternal lineage, to give out names of, beneficiary from their lineage. And such names are, forwarded to the village head, and then the village head would turn in that names into the General Assembly of Ekuri Initiative, which consists of old and new Ekuri. And then if those names are eventually accepted, then the General Assembly will ratify that name. And this ensures that by so doing, it ensures that there is equitable benefit sharing amongst the matrilineage. And that has also enhanced social cohesion, empty of external divide and rule. Why external divide and rule is that when the community are so united, it becomes so difficult for any person coming from outside to divide them and rule. And because every person is benefiting, basically, that is why it is very difficult for somebody to come from outside to break the unity of the community and log that forest. So it's a key thing that we need to know here. Considerably, our activities has enhanced sustainability. And then the Ekuri villagers have a right, inalienable right. That right cannot be taken away from them in the use of non-timber forest product or herb. You have a right to do that if you are from Ekuri, but you don't have a right to harvest timber. Timber is the prerogative of, the Ekuri Initiative. Fine? Okay. All right.
Another one's going to start in here in 10, so...
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So, challenges. Some uncertified persons clamoring for benefit. There's propensity by some for more benefit sharing for individual against capital projects. Interest of few to log the forest individually for self-gains. Illegal forest list of this forest. Logging moratorium since 2008 in Cross River State. Unsustained support from outside. Threat of encroachment by two community neighbors. High maintenance costs of vehicle due to old age. The key challenges we face. How do we resolve or address these key challenges? First, like the 3 issues mentioned, is that the General Assembly always meet. And whatever decision that is taken there becomes binding on everybody. Prioritized needs, as approved by the General Assembly, are implemented or sometimes reviewed. Sometimes we convene a larger coordination meeting for them to support us to address some of these issues. And then there is also court cases. Sometimes we revert to court when we cannot contain with issues or some of the challenges like the forest list. And then how we address one of those issues, like the illegal concession in Ekuri Forest, was a supreme sacrifice by the deceased, including me, who went to jail to ensure that because a corrupt judge gave a judgment. That illegal concession we protested against, and then the village head eventually was removed, and the concessionaire came to support him and brought up phantom charges against us. And we are given option to allow the logging company to log the forest or to serve a 2-year imprisonment term. And we opted to serve the 2-year imprisonment term so that that forest can be there for generation unborn. Looking inward for sustainability of activity, because we are a resource-based community. So if support is not coming from outside, we look inward so that we can sustain our activity. In terms of encouragement from neighboring community, we do peer-to-peer conservation in neighboring community. How do we do that? We use the leadership, the traditional leadership of the community to speak to the leadership of the next community who are encroaching into our forest. And that has actually worked so well with us. I think this is where I'm going to end my presentation. In locally, we say shemo, meaning thank you.